The night was quiet inside the human quarters of the alien research station. The only sound came from the soft humming of power lines running through the walls. Sam was lying on his bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. He had been on the station for 3 weeks, assigned as a communication technician. His job was simple: maintain Earth's signal link and monitor message flow between human and alien researchers. But tonight, something felt different. He turned, his head toward the small desk where his datapad blinked softly. A message from Earth sat unread. He didn't care. His mind wasn't on Earth anymore. His thoughts kept going back to her, Lyra. She was part of the alien research team. Tall, with soft pale blue skin, silver hair that shimmered under the station lights, and small elf-like ears. Her expression was always calm, controlled, but her eyes were curious, as if trying to understand everything around her. Sam had seen her a few times during joint training sessions and meals in the shared dining hall. He had watched her, quietly, never spoke to her, just observed. Her movements, her behavior, her reactions. Something about her was different from the other aliens. She seemed more aware, almost human. And then the door opened. Sam sat up, confused. The door didn't beep. It didn't announce a visitor. It just slid open, slowly and silently. Lyra stood in the doorway. She didn't look angry. She didn't even look surprised. She looked calm, like she knew what she was doing. Her voice was soft and firm. "I know you were watching me." Sam froze. His heart skipped a beat. He didn't know what to say. Was she upset? Was he in trouble? I didn't mean anything by it," he said quickly. "I was just curious. That's all." She stepped inside and the door closed behind her. "I'm not here to accuse you," she said. "I'm here because curiosity is dangerous, especially here." Sam blinked. "Dangerous?" Lyra walked slowly around his small room. She looked at the books. On his shelf, the photos taped beside his bed. Then she turned to face him. "You are not the only one watching," she said. "Others in my group have noticed your interest. They think you are gathering information for your species. Spying, maybe." Sam stood up. "That's not true. I've done nothing wrong. I just wanted to understand you better." Lyra studied him for a long moment. "I believe you," she said. "But they won't. And if they begin scanning minds, they will learn about your thoughts." "About me?" Sam took a deep breath. "Why are you telling me this? You could have just stayed away." Lyra looked down, her silver hair falling softly over her face. "Because I've been watching you too." Her words surprised him more than anything else. "What?" he asked. She nodded. "You show emotions freely. You ask questions. You smile even when you're confused. My people were not created for that. We are trained to observe, to record, but not to feel. But you remind me of something I cannot explain." The room was quiet. Only the soft hum of the power lines remained. "I think we're both curious," Sam said. Lyra looked up, her eyes meeting his. "I want to learn more," she said, "but not in the open, not in the labs. If they find out, it could be dangerous for both of us." Sam nodded slowly. "Then let's meet in secret. Here, quietly. You teach me about your people. I'll teach you about mine." She thought for a moment, then extended her hand. It was slender and cool to the touch. Agreed. As she turned to leave, she paused at the door. "But remember, human curiosity has brought both great progress and great trouble. Be careful where yours takes you." With that, she walked out into the hallway, the door sliding shut behind her. Sam stood alone in his room, staring at the spot where she had stood. He had no idea what he had just started, but one thing was certain: his nights on the alien station would never be the same again. The next night, Sam sat at the edge of his bed, waiting. He kept looking at the door every few seconds, listening for footsteps. His heart beat faster with each passing minute. Would she really come back? Or had she changed her mind? Then, just like before, the door opened without warning. Lyra stepped inside. Her expression was serious, but her eyes showed something new. Curiosity. "You waited," she said. "I said I would," Sam replied, standing up. She looked around, the small room again, and then sat on the edge of his desk. Her movements were calm and graceful, almost silent. Sam could barely believe this was happening. Just 2 days ago, she was someone he had only seen from a distance. Now she was in his room, again. "We do not do this," Lyra said quietly. "We do not form private bonds, not with humans, not even with each other." Sam sat down across from her. "But you're here anyway." She nodded. "Because I have questions. And I believe you do too." He smiled a little. "Many." Lyra tilted her head slightly. "Why do you smile so much? Even when things are uncertain?" Sam thought for a moment. Maybe because smiling makes things feel less serious, like everything will be okay. She seemed to study that answer carefully, as if it was a puzzle. "I was created in a science chamber," she said. "Not born. We are designed to think, work, and follow. But sometimes, I feel things, emotions that shouldn't be there. When I see children or hear music or watch the stars, I feel something I cannot explain." Sam leaned forward. "That's what makes you special, Lyra. Feeling something, that's what makes life real." Her eyes flickered. "But it is dangerous. If the overseers find out that I feel, that I think like this, they will send me for reconditioning." "What's that?" Sam asked. "They remove the emotions, clean the mind, reset it to factory condition." Sam frowned. "That sounds cruel." "To them, it is maintenance. Like fixing a tool," she said softly. Sam stood up and began walking around his room. He picked up a small object from his desk, a photo of Earth. Mountains, rivers, forests. "This is home," he said, handing it to her. "We were born with emotions, sometimes too many. Love, hate, joy, sadness, it's messy, but it's part of us." Lyra held the photo gently, running her fingers over the printed image. "It's beautiful." "We make mistakes," Sam said, "but we learn from them. That's the human way." Lyra looked at him with soft eyes. "I want to learn that way." Sam nodded. "Then we'll teach each other. One step at a time." She reached into her coat and pulled out a small device, a memory crystal. It was shaped like a smooth pebble, glowing faintly from within. "This contains information," she whispered. "History from before my kind became emotionless. I should not have it. But I found it hidden deep in our system. I think it tells the truth." Sam took it carefully. "What do you want me to do with it?" "Study it, understand it. But don't let them find it. If they know I gave it to you." He nodded. "I'll be careful." She stood up. "Our time is short. I cannot stay long each night. But I will return tomorrow. We must keep this secret." Sam walked her to the door. Before she left, she paused and looked at him. "Why did you watch me, Sam?" He blinked. "Because you looked like someone searching for something. And I guess I was too." She gave a small nod. "Then maybe we are both closer to finding it than we thought." The door slid open and she disappeared into the hallway. Sam looked down at the memory crystal in his hand. It was warm, almost like it was alive. He didn't know what secrets it held, but he was sure of one thing. This wasn't just a secret friendship anymore. It was the beginning of something much bigger, something that could change everything. Sam sat at his desk, the room dimly lit by a single light panel. The memory crystal lay in front of him, glowing faintly like a sleeping star. He hadn't touched it yet. He didn't know how it worked. But somehow, just looking at it, made him feel something powerful, like the past was calling out to him. He gently pressed his thumb to the center of the crystal. At first, nothing happened. Then suddenly, light burst out from the crystal and filled the air. Images appeared, floating, moving, alive. He saw a world that looked like Lyra's home planet, but it was different. The skies were filled with fire and energy. Her people were warriors, strong and fierce, wearing armor and carrying blades of pure light. They laughed, fought, and cried. They lived freely. But then something changed. Sam watched in silence as the images shifted. A tall figure in a black robe spoke to the people. He promised peace, control, and order. Many followed him. Some resisted. Those who resisted vanished. Over time, the fighters became scientists. The singers became silent. The joyful ones forgot how to smile. A final image showed a line of young ones being placed in chambers, their eyes closed and wires wrapped around their heads. Words appeared above them in the air. Emotion suppression protocol initiated. The light faded. The crystal dimmed. Sam sat back, stunned. They erased everything, he whispered. He had just seen the truth. Lyra's people had been changed. On purpose. Their past had been buried. Their emotions stolen. No wonder she felt strange. No wonder she had questions. She was waking up, and now, so was he. The door suddenly opened. Sam jumped, expecting a guard, but it was Lyra. Her face was pale, even more than usual. Her silver hair was messy and her eyes wide with fear. "They've started scanning," she whispered, closing the door behind her. "Not just messages, minds." Sam stood. "How much time do we have?" "Not much." "I came to warn you. Hide the crystal. Now." He quickly placed the crystal inside a hidden slot in the wall behind his desk. It clicked shut just in time. Lyra turned to him. "They asked me questions today, strange ones, about humans, about you. I think someone suspects." Sam nodded. "I saw the crystal's memory. I saw what they did to your people." Lyra's eyes widened. "You saw it?" "Yes. And now I understand why they're afraid. They don't want anyone to remember the truth." She stepped closer. "Do you believe me now?" "I do," he said. "And I want to help." Her voice dropped lower. "If they find out we met like this, they won't just reset me. They'll erase you from this station." "Then we have to be smarter," Sam said. "More careful." She sat down slowly, her hands trembling slightly. "I keep feeling things I don't understand. I feel fear, worry, and something else when I see you. Something I don't have a word for." Sam sat beside her. "It's called trust." Lyra looked at him. "It feels heavy, but not painful. That's what makes it real." For a moment, silence filled the room again. Not the cold silence of space, but the kind that happens when two people truly listen. "Sam," Lyra said after a long pause, "do you think my people can change again?" He looked at her carefully. "Yes. If the truth comes out, if enough people remember who they were, it's possible. But you'll need help." She nodded slowly. "I'll bring you more. More crystals. More memories. But it's dangerous." "I'm not afraid," he said. Her eyes softened. "You should be." Suddenly a loud beep came from the hallway. A voice echoed through the station. "Random room check in Section 7. All personnel remain in place." Sam and Lyra looked at each other. "This section," she whispered. Sam rushed to the desk and sat down. Lyra moved to the wall and pressed. A hidden panel. A section slid open, revealing a small storage space. Without a word, she stepped inside. The panel slid shut just as the door beeped again. 2 station guards walked in. "Random check," one said. "Step aside, please." Sam stood calmly. "Go ahead." They scanned the room slowly. One of them paused at the wall near the hiding spot. Sam's heart pounded. "Anything unusual here?" the guard asked. "No. Just communication logs and repair parts," Sam replied casually. The guard nodded and moved on. After another minute, they left. The door shut. The wall opened. Lyra stepped out, breathing hard. "That was too close." Sam nodded. "We need a new plan. They won't stop." She looked at him with steady eyes. then neither will we. The days passed quickly after the close call with the guards. Sam and Lyra were more careful now. They met in secret, always under the cover of darkness when the station was quiet. Each time Lyra brought more crystals, each one a puzzle piece of her people's lost history. Sam studied them in silence, his mind racing with the weight of what he was learning. The memories inside the crystals were vivid, flickering images of an ancient, powerful race, their cities sprawling across the surface of a beautiful green world. These were not the same beings Sam had seen now, who were quiet and reserved. These were warriors, dreamers, and builders full of life and hope. But the crystals also revealed something darker. Sam sat in his room one night, the latest crystal in his hand. He had seen enough by now to understand what had happened to Lyra's people. It was not just a story of control. It was a story of loss. The crystal pulsed as Sam pressed it, and the images appeared before him. This time it was a young Lyra, not the reserved scientist he knew, but a child, happy, laughing, playing in a field of tall grass. She ran through the open air with other children, their laughter ringing out. Sam watched as the scene shifted. The laughter died down, replaced by a deep silence. In the distance, a large, imposing figure approached. His face was obscured by a helmet, but Sam could tell he was in charge. The memory continued, showing the leaders of Lyra's people speaking. With this figure, their faces filled with both fear and admiration. Then came the terrible decision. Lyra's people were forced to abandon their ways of living freely and enter a new age of control. The same figure who had appeared in the memory stood in front of them, promising peace in exchange for their freedom. The image flickered and a new scene appeared. Sam saw rows of children like the young Lyra, lined up in strange, cold rooms. The atmosphere was sterile. There were no more smiles, no more laughter. Only silence as they were placed in mind-altering machines, their identities stripped away, their emotions suppressed. The last image showed the same children, now empty-eyed and robotic, following orders without question. The light from the crystal dimmed. Sam sat back in his chair, stunned by what he had just witnessed. He had seen Lyra as a child, full of life, and he had seen the moment her people lost everything. He turned the crystal over in his hand as if expecting it to give him answers. But all he felt was the weight of what he had learned. A soft knock on his door broke his thoughts. It was Lyra. She entered quickly, her expression tense. "I think they're getting closer," she whispered. "The overseers. They know someone is feeding information to you." Sam stood up, his heart racing. "What do we do?" Lyra's face was calm, but Sam could see the worry in her eyes. "We have no choice but to move forward. I have one more crystal to give you. It's the last piece. After this, they'll know everything." Sam looked at her, determination rising in him. "Then let's do it. No more waiting." Lyra nodded. She pulled out a final glowing crystal from inside her coat. This one was different. It was larger, its surface shimmering with an unnatural light. She placed it in Sam's hand. "This," she said, "contains everything. The true history of my people, the rebellion that was crushed, the lies that were told." Sam nodded, his fingers tightening around the crystal. He understood. This was it. There was no turning back. He looked at her. "Will you come with me? When this is over, will you stay here with me? I don't want to lose you." Lyra hesitated, looking into his eyes for a long time. Her silver hair caught the light as she slowly nodded. "I don't know what will happen after this, but I do know one thing. I don't want to go back to the way it was. I want to live, Sam. To feel. To be free." His heart pounded. This was real. The choice was clear. The stakes were high, but they were together. That was enough for now. They moved quickly, carrying the crystal to the station's hidden communication hub. Sam had hacked into the system days earlier, setting up a secure connection to Earth's government. This would be their only chance to get the truth out. Sam inserted the crystal into the terminal and began the transfer. He watched as the data flowed onto the screen. Images, texts, memories, everything. It all spilled out, revealing the truth of Lyra's people's past. The world would see it all. There was no more hiding. Suddenly, alarms blared. The lights in the room flickered. Sam's heart skipped a beat. They had been found. "Go," he shouted, grabbing Lyra's arm. They ran through the corridors, their footsteps echoing in the silence. Sam could hear the sound of guards closing in. But he didn't stop. He couldn't. They reached the exit, but the door slammed shut in front of them. A voice came through the intercom. "Stop right there, humans." Lyra's eyes were wide with fear, but Sam stood tall. He knew this was the moment. There was no going back. "We're not stopping," he said, his voice steady. "We're not going back to silence. We are telling the truth." He grabbed Lyra's hand and pulled her forward, ready for whatever would come next. The alarm screamed through the hallways, their high-pitched wail echoing off the metallic walls of the research station. Sam could feel the rush of adrenaline coursing through his veins as he and Lyra sprinted toward the emergency exit. The path ahead was clear for now, but Sam knew it wouldn't stay that way for long. The sound of footsteps behind them grew louder with Evie. "Harry second. Keep going," Sam urged, his voice steady despite the panic creeping into his chest. He held onto Lyra's hand tightly, not daring to let go. He couldn't afford to lose her. Not now. Not when they were so close to getting the truth out. Lyra's silver hair flew behind her as she matched his pace, her face a mask of determination. But even as they ran, Sam could see the fear in her eyes. She knew what was at stake. If they were caught, everything they had worked for, everything she had risked, would be destroyed. They reached the exit, but the heavy door slid shut with a metallic thud just as they arrived. Sam pressed his palm to the access panel, but the screen flashed a red warning. "Access denied." "Sam," Lyra gasped, her breath coming in quick, panicked bursts. "They've locked us in." He quickly searched for another way out, his mind racing. He could hear the sounds of guards coming closer, their heavy boots echoing through the corridors. They didn't have much time. "Over here," Lyra said, pulling him toward a narrow ventilation shaft in the corner of the room. The shaft was small, barely big enough for them to squeeze through, but it was their only chance. Sam nodded, pulling the panel open. He could see the darkness of the shaft beyond, the air stale and thick. But it was better than being caught. "After you," he said, helping Lyra climb inside first. She hesitated for a moment, then crawled into the shaft, disappearing into the darkness. Sam followed her, the metal walls of the shaft scraping against his shoulders as he moved. It was tight, claustrophobic, and the air was thick with dust, but it was their only option. They had to keep moving. As they crawled deeper into the ventilation system, Sam could hear the faint sound of voices and footsteps above them. The guards were searching. They were close. "We're almost there," Lyra said, her voice muffled from the other side of the shaft. Sam could hear the tension in her voice, but he didn't respond. They couldn't afford to speak now. Every word they said could give away their position. After what felt like an eternity, the shaft opened up into a maintenance corridor. It was dark, quiet, and seemingly empty. But Sam didn't trust it. He motioned for Lyra to follow him, and they moved quickly down the hall, staying close to the walls. They made their way to the central control room. Sam had hacked into the station's system earlier, setting up a direct connection to Earth. It was their only chance to get the truth out before the overseers shut everything down. He approached the door to the control room, carefully checking to make sure no one was around. The door was locked, but with a few quick moves, he had it open. They stepped inside, the room filled with rows of terminals and monitors, all glowing with information. "This is it?" Sam said quietly, pulling up the data transfer program on one of the monitors. He inserted the last crystal, the one Lyra had given him, the one that contained everything. The true history of her people, the rebellion that had been crushed, the lies that had been told. As the data began to transfer, a loud noise echoed through the room. Sam's heart skipped a beat. The door slammed open and in walked two overseers, their eyes scanning the room. They froze when they saw Sam and Lyra standing by the terminal, their expressions unreadable. "What are you doing here?" one of the overseers demanded, his voice cold and commanding. Sam's mind raced. He needed to act fast. They had no time for explanations. He quickly pressed a button, sending the data transmission to Earth. The truth was out. It was done. "Stop them," the other overseer shouted. Lyra stepped in front of Sam, her posture defensive, but her eyes held a quiet determination. "You cannot stop this," she said, her voice steady. "The truth has been set free. You cannot take it back." The overseers looked at each other, confusion and frustration crossing their faces. They had underestimated Lyra. They thought she was just another compliant scientist, but she wasn't. She was waking up. And now she was ready to fight for her people. Before the overseers could react, alarms blared once again, this time much louder than before. The lights flickered and the air grew tense. Sam realized what was happening. The data transfer had triggered a station-wide alert. The overseers knew they had lost. "Lyra!" Sam shouted, grabbing her arm. "We have to go. Now!" They turned and ran. The overseers shouted after them, but it was too late. The alarms had given them away and the station was in chaos. As they made their way through the halls, the sound of footsteps grew louder. Guards were closing in from all sides, but Sam and Lyra didn't stop. They couldn't. They had come too far. They reached the docking bay, where a ship was waiting, a ship that Sam had managed to prepare in secret, ready to take them to Earth. They climbed aboard, and Sam quickly set the coordinates. As the engines roared to life, he looked at Lyra. "This is it," he said, a smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "We're free." Lyra's eyes met his, and for the first time since they had met, she smiled. A real smile, one full of hope. "Thank you, Sam," she said softly. "Thank you for showing me what it means to be free." The ship shot out into the stars, leaving the station and its lies behind. The stars outside the window of the ship seemed endless. Sam stared out at the vast expanse of space, the blackness broken only by the twinkling of distant stars. His heart still pounded from the escape. They had made it off the station, but the journey was far from over. He glanced over at Lyra, who sat quietly beside him. Her eyes were focused on the ship's control panel, her fingers tracing the surface lightly as if feeling the ship's vibrations. She looked so calm, but Sam knew better. He could see the tension in her posture, the way her hands clenched when she thought no one was looking. Sam leaned back in his seat and took a deep breath. He had no idea what awaited them on Earth. He only knew one thing for sure. They couldn't go back. The truth had been released, and there was no way to undo. "So what happens now?" Sam asked, breaking the silence. He kept his voice casual, trying to keep the conversation light despite the weight of everything hanging between them. Lyra turned to him, her face softening. "Now, we wait. We have to hope that the truth will be heard, that it will change things." Sam nodded. "I hope so too, but we'll make sure it does. We'll make sure the world knows what happened to you. What they did to you." Lyra's eyes met his. "And you? What happens to you, Sam? You've risked everything for a cause that's not even your own." He smiled, a small, tired smile. "It's not just your cause anymore. It's ours." The ship hummed softly as it flew through the quiet void of space. It was a strange feeling being free. But Sam knew it wouldn't last. The overseers would come after them. They wouldn't just let a traitor like Lyra escape without consequences, and Sam, as her only ally, would be a target too. He had no doubt about that. "We're almost at Earth," Lyra said, breaking into his thoughts. She touched a button on the control panel, and the star map appeared on the screen. It showed the route they had taken, with a bright green line marking their path toward Earth. "We'll be safe there, right?" Sam asked, even though he knew the answer. Lyra hesitated, her fingers tracing the edge of the panel. "I don't know. The overseers have powerful allies, and Earth is not as isolated as it once was. But it is our best chance. If we can get to the right people, we might be able to expose everything they've hidden." Sam leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the screen. "We will expose it, we have to." The journey continued in tense silence. Sam and Lyra didn't speak much after that. They both knew that no matter how much they wanted to escape the danger, they were not free yet. The real battle was just beginning. Hours passed, and the ship's artificial gravity kicked in as they entered Earth's orbit. The blue and green planet appeared before them, a beautiful sight. Sam felt a wave of relief wash over him. They had made it. As the ship descended toward Earth's surface, the screen in front of them flashed with a sudden alert. Sam's heart skipped a beat. "We're being followed," Lyra said, her voice calm but filled with urgency. "What?" Sam asked, moving closer to the screen. A small ship had appeared behind them, closing in fast. "The overseers must have sent a pursuit ship," Lyra said, her face hardening. "They don't want us to reach Earth. We need to act quickly." Sam's mind raced. They were almost there. They couldn't afford to be caught now. He glanced around, looking for any way to shake the pursuers. They were running out of time. "There's an old docking station on the outskirts of Earth's orbit," Lyra said suddenly. "If we can make it there, we might be able to hide long enough to contact Earth's authorities." Sam didn't hesitate. "Set a course for the station. I'll take care of the rest." He moved to the ship's weapons panel, activating the ship's defensive systems. They weren't the most advanced, but it was all they had. He locked onto the pursuing ship, targeting its engines. "Get ready," Sam said. "We're going to have to outrun them." Lyra quickly adjusted the course, guiding the ship toward the docking station. The small enemy ship followed closely behind, growing ever closer. Sam could hear the hum of the ship's engines as they picked up speed. He held his breath, his fingers tense on the controls. They had one shot at this. Suddenly, the enemy ship fired. The blast rocked their ship, shaking them both violently. Sam's heart skipped a beat as alarms blared. He quickly adjusted their course to avoid a second blast. "We're almost there," Lyra shouted, her voice strained. She pushed the ship's controls harder, pulling them toward the docking station. The enemy ship fired again, this time grazing the side of their ship. Sam gritted his teeth. They were running out of time. Just as the docking station appeared ahead of them, another blast hit their ship. The control panel flickered, and Sam cursed under his breath. "Hold on," he yelled, pulling the ship into a sharp turn. The docking station was close now. With a final burst of speed, the ship slammed into the docking platform. The metal groaned as the ship's landing gear locked into place. Sam quickly shut down the engines, his hands still shaking. "We made it," Lyra whispered. They had done it. For now, at least. But Sam knew the battle wasn't over. They still had to make sure the truth reached Earth, and they had to stay one step ahead of the overseers. He turned to Lyra, his eyes meeting hers. "We're not done yet, but we will be. Together." The docking station was old. Dust and rust covered the walls, and the air inside was stale. But it was safe, for now. Sam and Lyra stepped off the ship, their legs still unsteady after the rough landing. The station was quiet, eerily so. The only sounds were the hum of old machinery and the distant rumble of the station's aging systems. "Danae, you think they'll find us here?" Lyra asked, her voice low and tense as she looked around the dark corridors. Sam took a deep breath, scanning their surroundings. "I don't know, but it's our best shot. The authorities here are used to dealing with outlaws and fugitives. If we can contact them, we might be able to get help." Lyra nodded, though she still looked uncertain. She had spent most of her life in a controlled environment, following strict orders and protocols. The idea of living freely without constant supervision was still new to her. But she was learning. Fast. They moved through the station, taking care to avoid any security cameras or patrols. Sam knew that the moment they were spotted, the overseers would be alerted. They had to stay hidden until they were ready to make their move. As they walked, Sam's thoughts kept returning to the data they had sent to Earth. The truth about Lyra's people, their history, their suppression, and their forced transformation, was out there now. It couldn't be taken back. It was only a matter of time before the entire planet knew the truth. "Do you think they'll believe us?" Lyra asked, breaking into his thoughts. Sam stopped and looked at her. They have to. The data speaks for itself. It's not just us telling the story. It's the evidence. It's the truth. Lyra sighed, but her expression softened. I hope you're right. They reached a small communications room near the center of the station. Sam quickly accessed the terminal and plugged in a secure transmitter he had prepared earlier. As he worked, he could feel Lyra's eyes on him, waiting for him to make contact with Earth's authorities. I've set it up, Sam said, turning to her. Now we just need to get the message out. He punched in the code for Earth's government. The screen flickered and a few tense seconds passed before the connection was established. The face of a man appeared on the screen. He was older, with dark hair and a serious expression. His uniform marked him as someone important, a high-ranking officer in Earth's Defense Force. Identify yourself, the man said, his tone direct but not unfriendly. This is Sam Rivera, communication technician from the Zeta 9 station, Sam said, trying to keep his voice calm. I'm transmitting critical data regarding the alien research project and the true history of the beings known as Lyra's people. The man on the screen raised an eyebrow. What are you talking about? Sam glanced at Lyra, then turned back to the screen. I know this is going to sound unbelievable, but I need you to listen. The truth is, Lyra's people were once powerful, warriors, living freely. But they were forced to change. Their emotions were erased, their culture destroyed. They've been living under the control of a powerful group called the Overseers. And now, Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady as she spoke. Now, we're trying to change that. We've come to you because we need your help. We can't do this alone. We want to be free. We want to rebuild. The officer stared at them for a moment, then glanced at something off-screen. There was a pause before he spoke again. Hold on. Let me get someone higher up. The screen went black for a moment, and Sam and Lyra stood there, the silence stretching between them. Sam could feel the weight of the moment, the tension in the air. They had just taken a huge risk by sending this message. If they were wrong, if the authorities didn't believe them, it could all come crashing down. Finally, the screen flickered back to life. A new face appeared, this one older, with a kind but firm expression. He wore a uniform with a higher rank than the previous officer. I'm General Miles, the man said. Sam Rivera, Lyra, I've seen the data you've sent, and after reviewing the evidence, I believe you. Sam's heart skipped a beat. He didn't know what to say. You believe us? General Miles nodded. Yes, the evidence is undeniable. We've been monitoring alien activity for some time, and what you've shown us confirms our worst fears. This isn't just about one station or one group. It's about the survival of an entire species. A species that's been held under control for far too long. Sam turned to Lyra, who was standing silently beside him. Her eyes were wide with disbelief, but there was a hint of hope in her expression too. We want to help you, General Miles continued, but we need to move quickly. The Overseers won't sit back and let this go unnoticed. They'll retaliate. We're ready, Lyra said quietly. We've been waiting for this, for the truth to be known. General Miles smiled slightly. Then we'll do everything we can to make sure you're not alone in this fight. The connection ended, and Sam and Lyra stood in the small room, still processing everything that had just happened. The weight of the truth had finally been shared with Earth, and the authorities were on their side. But the battle wasn't over. It had only just begun. We did it, Sam said, his voice quiet but filled with a sense of triumph. Lyra nodded, a small smile tugging at the corner of her lips. Yes, but now we fight. For our people. For our freedom. And as they looked out the window of the docking station, Sam knew that this was the beginning of a new era. One where Lyra's people would reclaim what had been stolen from them, and where humans would stand beside them, fighting for the truth no matter the cost.